We welcome back to our program entrepreneur extraordinaire Melissa Cloeter, the president of Own It Ventures. Melissa, thanks for coming back and talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about a little strategy when you finally, you've got a product and you finally get in front of potential investors.
Right.
You got that meeting. What's next?
Well, first of all, it's a very nervous time for an entrepreneur because you're thinking of all the huge potential this is going to mean to you, and you've worked so hard to get to that point. What I've seen some entrepreneurs end up happening is they freeze, they get in that meeting, and they practice. Take as many opportunities as you can to practice your pitch to this group of investors that you have in front of you.
You talk about the deck. We're not talking about playing cards. What's the deck?
The deck, think of it as a PowerPoint presentation. Normally it's 15 to 20 slides, and it's what you really want to key in on about your business that you know these investors want to know about. And first of all, you need to do as much research as you can about the investors that are going to be sitting around the table.
Sure.
You want to understand, what their areas of expertise are, maybe what some of their businesses that they've invested in before, why do they like those businesses. If you can, interview some of the businesses that they have invested in, those owners, and find out, some information, some background information. I know from personal experience, if you walk in, and one of the things that I like to try to do in a meeting is break the ice. Well, you have to understand you don't want to offend somebody in your icebreaker, and a part of that is doing research on who the audience is that you're going to be talking to.
Know your audience, of course.
Know your audience.
Well, your group brings potential investors together with people who have products who are looking for funding. What are the biggest mistakes? If you can think of the top three, what are the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make in fumbling that first meeting with the investor group?
They declare there are no competitors. What business has no competitors? And an investor, when they hear that, right away they're thinking, all right, everything else you're going to start talking about is...
This person hasn't done their homework.
They haven't done their homework, or they're feeding me a line. And so, you have to gain that trust of that investor. And so, talk about who your competitors are. And what I have found is usually because of your competitors, you're able to identify a void that is missing in the market, and that's where you need to talk about what makes you different, why you're doing this. Well, I saw a niche, and I saw a niche because my competitors are doing blah blah blah, and this is missing. So I'm addressing that missing niche that my competition is not capturing.
Now, beyond the competition, what other things do they have to address? What is an investor going to look for?
Well, first of all, they're going to look for, do you have the right management team in place? They want to make sure that they're putting money forth. Is it going to be managed properly? And a big part of that is, okay, what is the market? What is the business market that you're operating in? And how are you going to capture that piece of the market? And all of your financial, what you're saying, has to be backed up. It has to be verifiable. And they're automatically going to assume that you're exaggerating to a certain degree, and so, but it can't be such a huge exaggeration.
Sure.
And you also have to full disclosure. I mean, look at what happened to Facebook. Not only the issues with NASDAQ, but the investors felt like they didn't fully disclose everything that Facebook had disclosed to banks and that type of thing. So you have to make sure that you're saying the same thing to everybody, because you're out there you're pounding the pavement looking for multiple areas of bringing money and capital in for your business. So you have to make sure that your message resonates and is the same.
Now, you tend to help more beginners than folks who have been well, they're probably a good mix in terms of the people that your group serves. But what do beginners do, the mistakes that beginners make, that they can fix before they get to that meeting?
They need to have done as much research as possible about the area of business, the market that they're going to be operating in, and they have to be the experts in that. Because especially for the startup, if you can't portray that you're an expert in that market, and that for your business and how you're going to capture a piece of that business, the return on the investment from the investor's perspective is going to be lower.
Right.
So you know what, they want to capture on something that is going to be take off in a snap, and so you have to show I'm an expert, and you have to be able to demonstrate that with factual information. You're going to get that by researching, and Google's made it very easy. I use Google, but any of those research engines in the internet really has helped out. You don't have to pay a lot of money to a research firm and able to go in and really talk the information.
The internet's made it the big equalizer, so it's easy to do a lot of good research. Let me ask you this: investors always want to know the exit strategy.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't think about that. They think about getting in and making the money, but they don't think about how do I pay these guys off and get them out of my hair.
The exit strategy is an area that women particularly don't necessarily plan for. And I think it's because, and I'm to fault as well, this is my baby. My business is my baby now. Well, I don't want to abandon my baby. So, but from a business perspective, you need to have an exit strategy. It could be I want to sell off my business to my children. I want to pass this on to my children. I want to go public. I want to sell this off, and have a public offering. I want to make it employee owned. I mean, you have to have some type of an exit strategy. If your business is solely revolving around you and one person and there's no exit strategy, well, what does that tell an investor? There's no longevity to the business. With you. Oh, he's stuck with you. So if something happens to you, there's no business.
Right.
So that's when an exit strategy really shows and demonstrates to an investor is, you know what, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life, and I have a plan on how this business will continue whether I'm around or not.
Wow, a lot of good stuff, Melissa. We could be here all day.
Yeah, we could.
Thanks for joining us. We'll look to have you back again soon.
Thank you for having me.